Hello everyone and welcome to the iCode channel. Today I'm going to cover this great little controller, which is the driving controller, Atari Driving Controller. It's seldom used because people think there's not that many games that you can play with it, but in reality you can play pretty much any game with it if you set it up correctly and have the right equipment. So today I'm going to show you how to use the Atari Driving Controller using these iCode Ultimate Adapter, which will basically take your driving controller and connect it to a USB port on your computer. So I've connected this white wire to my USB port on my PC. I happen to be running on Windows, but you can connect this to RetroPie, Mac, even a phone like your Android phone, or even iOS, and it will work with those devices as well. It also supports joysticks, paddles, trackballs, pretty much any Atari controller, as well as Coleco and television, even Vectrex. So yeah, it does a lot. But today we're going to cover this driving controller. And what's nice about the device is once you got it connected like this to your USB port, it can act either as a mouse on your computer. So when you move the dial, it'll act like the mouse moving left and right. Or you can set it up to act like a gamepad. So it'll act like a D-pad or a left stick and move the X-axis for you. And then it has buttons on the device that you can also map to all the other kinds of functions. So if you're using an emulator like Stella that I'm running, which I'm going to show you in a minute, how we run Indy 500 perfectly with this device. One of the only devices actually that can run Indy 500 perfectly encoded, so you don't miss a beat and it works just like the original. So I'm proud of that. But I was saying that yes, it can work as a encoder device like a gamepad for the X and Y axis, or you can map these buttons to like Start Select on the Atari 2600, or pretty much any button that you want, you can map these to. So let's get started. I'm going to show you first here I'm running the standard Windows Stella. Now you do need to run Stella 7.0 because what happens if you want it to work natively, you need to run 7.0. You can run 6.4 or even earlier versions if you put it in mouse mode, but it's not as good. Just like the original, because if you convert things to mouse and then try to convert back, you'd lose a little bit of sensitivity. So if you want the original feel, you want to get Stella 7.0, and then this device will let you directly encode, because what happens is it'll map your encoders to buttons on the gamepad. So if you're familiar with encoders, it's like A and B encoders, and this will automatically map to that, so you don't have to do anything. But obviously you don't need to know any of all that. All you got to do is gotta install Stella, load up your game, and then I'm going to go ahead and go into Stella and bring up the menu. So what you first want to do is go to the game properties of your Indy 500 here, and under controllers, make sure you've changed this to joystick, and I'll explain that in a minute, but go ahead and change this to joystick. So that's really important, because if you put it on driving, it's going to try to use mouse, which maps to driving on Stella, and it won't work like a true encoder. But the trick is, once you put this onto joystick, if you go back to the main menu of Stella and go to Input, under Devices and Ports, you'll see this new setting, which is called Allow All 4 Directions on Joystick. This is important because that way both up and down can work at the same time, what the encoder needs. So that's one of the settings you need. Just make sure that's checked off, which is great, just like that. And then the other thing you want to do is we're going to map the directions that we move this in to basically the buttons on a gamepad. So what we want to do is go to Input, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and disconnect this, and I'm going to, well, actually, it doesn't matter. It's better to disconnect it. Just disconnect it so we don't send information incorrectly to the system. And then you want to go from here, emulation, go to joystick. And for joystick up, in addition to your normal mappings, we also want to map button 2 and button 3 to up and down. So I've used these two buttons on the device. So the blue button and the yellow button by default are button 2 and 3. So what you want to do, notice here it says button 2. So what you want to do is just when you're on up, press map and press the blue button, and it will add this for you, because by default it's not there. Like if I say reset, you'll see B2 is gone. So just push map, push the blue button, and make sure B2 shows up here. And then for down, we want the yellow button. So I'm going to reset it here so there's no B's here, no buttons. So I'm going to go ahead and push map and push B, the yellow button. That'll be B3. Okay, so once you got those two down, those two buttons will now work at the same time up and down, which the encoder needs to work correctly. So we've got those two down. And then finally on the Duo, if you're familiar with the Duo, you just go to icodehub.icode.com. Make sure here I've got Indy 500 on Stella for my preset. If you don't have one yet, you can just click new and create one. But basically all you need to do is pick the driving controller and then set it to buttons only for your function, because we're going to be mapping our directions to buttons. And then for raw pass-through, that's what you want to pick. And if you don't see this option, you're not on firmware 2.3, so just make sure you've installed the latest firmware on the device. But here I've already got it installed. And then notice I've got for raw A button 2 and raw B button 3. So if they're not set like that, just change them and you'll be good to go. Okay, so that's all you need to do for the settings. You save, and now we should be able to play. I've mapped these two buttons here for select and start. So you know, go ahead and I'm going to go ahead and push start here. Obviously, I'm only one player, even though I picked two players. And then I'm going to go ahead and connect my driving controller, and you know, you can see now it actually works quite well. So just to show you, I'm going to stop here so you can see I can spin very quickly and with a lot of control. That's the trick. I mean, can you precisely, as you move, the car is going to move exactly with you. That gives you the extreme control that you can, you know, truly control this game really well. If you try this on your own without the correct control, you'll never be able to speed through the course like the way I am. So you just, you know, can pretty much steer very nicely and rapidly, and it works just amazingly. Let me go ahead and switch games to one of my favorites on this track, which is the ice track. So here's like another good example. I'm going to go ahead and start this one, and same thing. You can see, you know, I can slide, and it is so much fun. Oh my goodness, to slide and woo, and play, especially two players. You know, this device has two ports on it, so you can play two-player games as well. And of course, you know, any of these games will work. But let me go ahead and exit here, and now I'm going to show you some other games, because you said, okay, great, Indy 500. What other games can you play with? Well, pretty much any game actually you can play with this, because the Duo Ultimate lets you map it as a gamepad. So let me show you some examples. And we'll do some Atari 2600 games, but I'm going to switch soon to even MAME games like Tempest, arcade games, or Sprint. You know, any of those kinds of games would work great. Even Arkanoid, which is, you would think it's a paddle game, but actually that's like a spinner. So this actually acts like a spinner. That's what makes it really cool. So let me show you a couple more games. Let's try a gamepad game. By the way, here's a driving controller tester I wrote for the Atari 2600. You can get this on GitHub. In fact, let me quickly show you this real quick. So if you open up GitHub and go to GitHub/AliJani, ALIJANI1, that's the where you want to go. And then over here, you'll be able to quickly go to repositories and see the Atari driving tester. And you can download the ROM. This is the ROM here. So just download this A26 file, and you can load it into Stella. So here's, if you don't have the Indy 500 ROM, this is a good way to test. So you can see this is a tester. So it tests both player 1 and player 2. So as I move the paddle, you can see the car rotates, and it has the 16 positions from 0 to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, all the way around to F, which is position 15. So 0 to 15, which is 16 positions. Because this is a 16, you have to go all the way around 16 ticks to make one revolution. So that's how this is so good, because it can move the car really rapidly in these old style games. Okay, so now that we've shown you that one, let's go to maybe a game like, sure, you can play Kaboom and Breakout, but I'm sure you got paddles for that. But let me show you like a joystick game. So we're going to go ahead and pick Galaxian, for example. Normally you would use a stick to move this back and forth. But what if I could use my driving controller? Well, we can. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back to my iCode hub, and here's my configuration for driving controller. So I've got it set for driving, but it's for stick games, right? So the way I do that is I set the function as D-pad. So even though it's a driving controller, it's going to act like a D-pad. And the trick is I can also bring auto center on. So if I stop touching it, it can bring back to the center. So I'm going to set this to medium. So if I let go of the spinner, it's going to come back to center. And that's what makes it nice, because that makes it really look like a D-pad. And then driving resolution, I'm going to turn this up a little bit so we get a little bit more sensitivity. And then I'm going to save. Okay, so that loads that configuration into the Ultimate, and now we're ready to go. So let's see if this worked out. So I'm going to go ahead and press start, and here's my ship. So sure enough, it is working. I can move left and right and spin. I think I turned the sensitivity too low, but I've had it working pretty nicely before. I had to spin a little bit. In fact, let me quickly just change that real quick here, and change the sensitivity to slow and resolution to really high. Oh, I had acceleration off, that's why. I'm going to turn that up a little bit. Okay, so now we should be good to go here. I'm going to save this and go back. All right, we'll start again. Okay, yeah, much better. So now I can, pretty much move back and forth very nicely, and play it with something that I enjoy quite a bit, because I couldn't do this before, and now you can play it with just spinner games. There it is. Oh, so yeah, so you can play pretty much any game like that. So we've done a few of these 2600 games. Now I'm going to start RetroArch, and we're going to try some MAME games. So RetroArch, here we go. Okay, I think I have a few of them in my history here. So in order to go to RetroArch, I need to emulate the mouse, because some of the games I'm going to play are basically spinner games. So I'm going to go here, driving as mouse, which I had set up. Again, it's driving controller. It's buttons only because I'm going to use it's not going to be a gamepad. And then I'm going to make sure mouse settings is set for high for sensitivity. And then one thing you want to check under USB settings, make sure mouse is on. So this little mouse icon, on the card, we'll let you know that as well. Anyway, so I've got this set up correctly, and now I'm going to go ahead and go back here and go to history, and sure, let's try Tempest. Why not? And I want to go ahead and select Tempest and run. Okay, so if you're familiar with RetroArch, you have to push F11 key to capture the mouse so that the mouse doesn't stay on the screen all the time. And now I'm going to go ahead and I'd already mapped these, so I'm going to go ahead and start it up. There we go. And yeah, so you can see I can select the game, and now I can pretty much play Tempest. Something you could never do with the driving controller before. So now you can. So here we go. Oh wow, look at that. It's so nice. I can go back and forth quickly and play a spinner game with my old classic controller here. So we got Tempest, and you can see it's working pretty nicely, and I can move back and forth really quickly. Ooh, let's get these quick, all around. Oh boy! Oh no! Oh! All right, so let's try a little bit of a different game here. We're gonna try. How about Championship Sprint? Sure. Let's try that one. And another racing game similar to Indy 500, but obviously much better graphics. I love them both. I'm going to here put some coins in, and I'm going to push this to start. Okay, again, I can you can see the wheel moving as I select. I'm going to select this track. Press the fire button, and we are getting ready. Okay, so I'm the blue car. There, I can, whoa, they're bumping me, but I'm gonna, okay, let's see here. Oh no, it gets a little getting used to, but yeah, it works, again, so you can, play, these awesome spinner games and have fun. Okay, so we saw this one. Let's go ahead and come out of that one, and I'm going to show you one last one here. We'll go to Arkanoid, and we'll run that. And so Arkanoid, we're going to put a coin in. I've mapped this button to coin, and then this one to play. All right. Let's see. Hopefully this will work. Don't fail on me. Oh yeah, it works quite nicely here. I can move back and forth. And let's see if we can get the fire pill, luckily. Oh, no, that was not the fire pill. All right. Oh yeah, sticky one. Okay, that's good. So you can see I can move back and forth. And, oh good, I want the laser. There we go. And then I can shoot. Oh, that was a little bit quick for me. All right. So I think you guys got the idea here. So yeah, if you enjoyed this, give me a thumbs up. Ask me any questions you like on this channel. You can find these on iCode.com, ICODE.com. And yeah, it's time to get your old controllers out of the box. In fact, this one supports, I think, something like 15 different controllers, even trackballs. As I mentioned, Intellivision, Coleco, Sega Genesis, Vectrex, of course, Paddles, Joysticks, even 5200 controller with a keypad, the Atari keypad as well. The 5200, you need to get the coupler that is optional for this, and it'll work with the 5200 game controller, both buttons, 7800 controller, as well as the 5200 trackball. So yeah, but driving controller is a lot of fun. I hope you haven't trashed yours, because it does bring back a lot of memories, especially that Indy 500 RAW mode is just incredible. It's so much fun to play 2 players head to head with your friends when they're around. So give it a try and let me know if you have any questions. Take care.